You're going to see what an assertion is, assertion statements and how it should be written, and a sample program just to test an assertion statement. Before telling you what an assertion is, let me tell you, as a programmer, bugs are a real pain in the neck for a programmer. So how does he remove these bugs? He has no way of debugging it because the bugs are faced by the user. So when he writes a program and if he tests a condition, he'd rather check for bugs inside his test conditions. So here he'll do an assertion wherein he'll always think that his program is correct. He'll assert that his program is correct, and if there are problems, then an error should be returned. In fact, assertion is a part of the exception handling class also. So this can be considered to be an extension of exception handling. So the assertion allows a user or a developer to test the code that he has written using a Boolean expression. A Boolean expression is nothing but a true or false statement. It also enables the programmer to check the validity of his own code. But when he writes a program, it is always in the assumption that his program is correct. With that in mind, he always asserts that his program is right and checks for bugs. When a program has been typed, how does the user enable the debugging factors? So after compiling the program, for running the program, he enables the assertion by running the program just by typing Java space -EA. EA stands for enable assertion, and he then types the class name or the file that has been compiled into. Now, if there is an error statement will be returned. But if it is true, if the assertion is true, then no error is returned, but the program runs smoothly. So the user or the developer can very easily track the whereabouts of bugs in his program. This is how an assert expression looks like. An assert expression, which could be a Boolean expression, true or false. When the program runs, the system runs the expression and it evaluates the expression. If the expression turns out to be false, then an error message is thrown, which is called assertion error. You can also use two expressions, but not more than two. Two expressions can be used as Boolean expressions, and if the first expression is true, then it will simply run the program, and if the second program is also true, then the program will run. But if the first expression is false, then the expression given in the second expression, that is the statement given in the second expression, will be thrown to the user as an error. So this is how expressions, more than one expression can be run, but you cannot exceed more than two expressions for assertion statements. So in today's session we saw what an assertion is, we saw the type of assertion statements, and now let's have a look at some sample programs to check or to see how to debug programs, shall we? So we're going to see some programs on assertion. Here you have a class called assert1, and I have used it in the try catch block because, as I said, it's also part of the exception. And now I'm just trying to type system.out.println. Now there are two assertion statements. The assert true statement will just say that the condition is true, so we won't see this. But if the assertion statement is true, then we should be actually seeing this statement. If the assertion is false, then of course we'll be seeing this statement. So how do we invoke an assertion? So during the runtime, we have to use specialized characters to know that we are going to assert something. So let's compile this file and then run this file so that you will have an idea as to how I run a program with assertions. Now I compile this program by using the Java C. Now I run this program without running an assertion statement, so I just run Java assert1. It just says testing, which means it has thrown some other message. Now let me run the assertion method. So I type Java and then the -EA. So EA's enable assertion is what it means, and then I type assert1, and now it gives an error. If assertions are on, we'll see this message is what it says, and that is what we are seeing over here. So if assertions are on, we'll see this, that is the false message. Therefore, if it is a false message, then it will give an error message, which is what I told you, and what you see on the screen is exactly that. There is an assertion error and the error message that we have written. If assertions are on, we'll see this and where the assertion error is. Therefore, we have run a false statement, but in the previous statement, when we have not switched on assertions, we saw that the condition is true, so we won't see this is what we saw. But we didn't see this, but instead what we saw was just the testing, and we didn't see this message at all because the assertion was false, and therefore the assertion was not enabled. Therefore we didn't see this message. But when the assertion was true, that is, we enabled the assertion, then we asked it to throw an exception. It will be much clearer when we see the second program, which is the assertion2 program. Now if you see, I have taken n as an integer and I am passing it as an argument. Therefore I have to pass a value during the command line argument. Now if I am asserting that if n modulus 2 is equal to 0, then it should print the next statement, which is even number. But if it is false, then it should give this particular message. If neither, then we give it to the catch error where an assertion error will be printed. So let's just check out this particular statement now by running both the assertion and without the assertion. So it is Java C assert2.java. We are having an error. Let's see what the error is. int.parcent, the integer should be written as integer.parcent. It was int.parcent of the program. Therefore we'll compile the program once again. Yes. Now I'll run without running the assertion. I'll just run Java and I'll give a value, but it will always give me the value even number. I have typed it as 7, but what happened was, even if when I typed it as 7, though n modulus 2 was not equal to 0, which is a false, I am still getting this particular message. Therefore now what I am going to do is, I am going to enable assertions and run the same program, and let's see what happens. I type Java -enable assertion assert2 and I pass the same value 7. Now if you see, the testing and the odd number has come. So we can have an assertion statement and we can also print the false statement, which means we don't have to have any other assertion errors. This is an error message, in fact, which has been passed on when this particular condition is set to true, and if it is false, we got this message instead of this message. Now suppose I give some other value, like say for example, if I enable assertion and I give some value, if you see, I get the Java lang.number format exception, but nowhere here is your assertion message, that is assert2.java. I have nowhere got an assertion error, but instead I only got the number format exception, which we saw in the previous class, wherein a number format exception is giving a character when it's an integer, and that's what I've done here. And you can see that there is only a number format exception, but the assertion error has not been passed on. That is why the error is long, and you have what you call the stack trace of the error. So now let's check the third program. Now in this, there is an integer I equal to 8. So I first check the I module 3 if it is 0. If not, then I check the second, else I check the third, or I print this values, or I assert false. If this is false, it will give an error, or system.out.println first 3. Now let's just run this program and see how it works. Now I run it without the assertion. I get the message first 3. Now I enable the assertion and I run. Now I'm getting an assertion error at count.min in 16. That is what I get here. I get an assertion error which is here, right? So this is how an assertion error can be taken without even passing on the assertion error. The assertion error is received because I mod 3 is not equal to 0. Here I mod 3 is not equal to 1. But when I mod 3 is equal to 2, then naturally it should return an error, and that error has been returned from the stack trace of the assertion error. That's why it says java.lang that assertion error is the error that we have seen here. So we have seen 3 programs wherein you try to assert or pass a statement and check if the statement is true. If it's true, yes. If not, you get an assertion error. So once again, my friend, we have come to the end of this session called Assertion. So till such time we meet again, it's bye and thank you.